Crisis Radio. We're just going through the 5 points for the November 2nd general strike and all other actions. It's great to have the Wall Street sales tax leading the charge, but we've also got to have the student loan amnesty. We've got to stop foreclosures immediately, at least for 5 years, duration of the Depression. Fraser-Lemke Act. We've done it before. No cuts to the social safety net. That means a resounding no to the evil fascistoid plans of the 12 tyrants who are meeting behind the scenes. And finally, in order to get a recovery, credit creation for job creation through great projects of national and international infrastructure. Nationalize the Fed. We want that power for the masses. $1 trillion blocks, tranches as they're called in the finance world, $1 trillion blocks of 0%, 50 to 100-year federal credit, generally by buying bonds from states and things like the Port Authority, to create infrastructure, superhighways, fast rail, energy grids, canal and water systems, public housing, public buildings, schools, libraries, hospitals, rebuild the fabric of civilization, 30 million new productive jobs at union wages, Davis-Bacon union wages. This would give trade union organizing a tremendous shot in the arm by getting us to full employment for the first time since 1945. Now, the benefit of this program is, on the one side, these measures taken together, and there are more. You can see the further ideas at the top of Tarpley.net in that 5-point program, the emergency program to stop the Depression. The main addition to that is the student loan amnesty plank, which has come to the fore now with good reason over the past couple of months. You've got to have a program that will actually solve the problem of a collapsing society. Many people say, well, the problem is income inequality. Yes and no. The problem of income inequality it needs to be addressed in a certain way, right? You don't want to have disparities of 500 to 1, 600 to 1, 1,000 to 1, because this destroys ultimately the political system. You can't have a democracy, as Machiavelli rightly tells us, if you have those kinds of income disparities. But in terms of economics, you can certainly put up with a 20 to 1, 30 to 1, 50 to 1 disparity. That's not really the center of the issue, because that takes it into the subjective realm, that we think it's wrong for this to be. All right, fine. Morally wrong, it is. But the greater problem is that this is a collapsing society. The society is collapsing in the way that most societies have, right? Think of the fall of the Roman Empire. Think of the fall of the Spanish Empire, right? Think of the great collapses that have dotted world history, which is, of course, a rubble field littered with the ruins and wreckage of these societies, right? The head of Ozymandias should be there telling us, guys, watch out for the collapse of your society. You're about to go into thermodynamic collapse. That's what we have to think about. And the remedy for this, massive increases in real economic production. Now, let's just, since we've said this, let's take a look at Bloomberg Business Week. Bloomberg Business Week on the newsstands today. That is to say, today being Friday, the 28th of October. Bloomberg Business Week, the cover story, of course, is Who's Behind the Mask? That's that awful Guy Fawkes thing from those characters at Zeitgeist, which unfortunately had a very, very bad disorienting influence in the last period of 9/11 Truth, and then combined with this idiotic movie that completely distorts the Guy Fawkes story, well, we have these masks. So they're featuring a guy called David Graeber. David Graeber, the 50-year-old anthropologist, went to Andover, went to Yale. Isn't that interesting? Elite education. Has he redeemed himself? Apparently not. He's an anthropologist. He's the leader. He's an anarchist. He's the leader of the non-hierarchical philosophy. They refuse to outline specific demands. We're a new generation, he says. He does come out of his shell to write a 25th of September editorial in the London Guardian. And basically his idea is he's focused on money and debt. And the only demand in his book is a biblical-style jubilee of forgiveness of all international and consumer debt. Now, this is okay up to a point, but why not transform this from this abstract international demand couched in terms of the biblical jubilee to the agitational sloganized form that I have given it, which is to say, student loan amnesty, stop foreclosures, debt moratorium on international financial debt. That's really for governments. And approach it this way. Also, the idea of a debt moratorium, a cancellation of all debt that derives from poisonous, toxic derivatives, meaning all derivatives. So the problem that we have here is that Graeber, as an anthropologist, struggles within the realm of money. And this is the problem. He never gets outside the realm of money. This is the critical, fatal flaw of most ruling class writers, because that's what he is with his Andover, with his Yale, and his anarchism. He is an appendage of the financier ruling class. We've got thousands of years of history. Machiavelli teaches us also that the patricians and the nobles use the plebs to agitate against the people. And this is what he's got in mind. And apparently he was even an assistant. He was an associate professor at Yale, claimed he didn't get tenure. I wonder who's funding him now. He was a graduate student at the University of Chicago. Not so good. The profile is sort of like Barkey's mother. And here's the idea. Utopias are reactionary. The pie in the sky is not just a waste of time, it's damaging. Because if you say we're going to have the radical reform of the human personality, we're going to have a utopia that was never seen on land or sea, we're going to have a flying leap into some unknown form of society, what that turns out to be in practice is that you're sabotaging the urgent radical or revolutionary reforms, but concrete ones, that are needed to save the society from collapse, from civil war, from depopulation, from genocide, and so forth. And this is our problem today. The anarchists, they fundamentally misunderstand the situation. And here's the main thing. As long as you're concerned with money and debt only, you have not left the debate terrain of the monetarist, and by the monetarist I mean the Friedmanites, the Chicago boys, which seems to be what this guy ultimately is, or the Austrians, the Hayeks and the von Mises, crackpots also. These people believe in the metaphysical reality of money. The Keynesians, I guess, in a certain way, do also. But what you don't ever get from these people is to break out of the world of money this and money that into the realm where solutions are found. And that is called production. Production. The only way out of the human predicament here in the beginning of the 21st century is a massive, across-the-board increase in physical, tangible commodity production of tangible physical wealth needed in the form of infrastructure, in the form of biomedical research, in the form of high-energy physics research, in the form of astrophysics, in the form of the exploration, permanent colonization, and industrial production on the moon, Mars, and other nearby objects. But above all, a massive across-the-board increase in any kind of physical, tangible production at the expense of what these people say they don't like, which is the over-financialized casino economy of globalization and all the rest of it. So you could say the biblical jubilee would be good. It would clear the decks. But this does not give you, first of all, again, the problem is that it's too abstract, right? This has got to be made specific and concrete, because if you go to somebody and say, well, we want to wipe out all debt in the world, this, for average person, this is a little bit difficult to fathom. But if you say people like you should not be crushed by student debt or crushed by foreclosures, and we shouldn't have Bank of America stealing your house, this then becomes an agitational demand. And as various authorities have said, your agitational demands have got to be sloganized and boiled down to the point where they are understandable to the last cook. The humblest member of society has got to immediately understand what you're saying. That's revolutionary politics. That's not the anarchist Graeber. Back in a minute on World Crisis Radio.